Good morning. I am calling to order our regularly scheduled meeting of the Committee of the Whole. My name is Elizabeth Glidden. I'm the chair of this committee, and I'm joined today by council members Gordon, Cano, Reich, Andrew Johnson, Yang, Quincy, Warsami, Goodman, Fry, and Palmisano, and we are a quorum of the committee. We have, I know, quite a few guests who have joined us today and have asked if they could have an opportunity to address the council. And as the chair of this committee, it's my discretion to be able to allow that, and I would like to offer that opportunity. I understand that there's about 4 speakers or so who would like about 2 minutes each, and so I welcome you here. And if you're ready to go ahead, we would like to hear from you.
Thank you for having us today. We're here to protest about the treatment of Glendale residents. My name is Ladan Yusuf. I'm a Defend Glendale organizer. We are not going to allow Glendale to be demolished. We want the city of Minneapolis, the council members, to be accountable. There's a huge role that you guys play, and a lot of the council members have been very absent about this process. We want to know why you are absent about this process, and we want to take some action. We have spoken and met with several council members that have expressed interest to work on this, but there is a serious issue with public housing here. We want to fix our homes. We want to repair our homes, and we're here to show that we have 1,000 people here that have signed our petitions. A lot of the people here couldn't be here today because they are working. Okay, and we're here to make sure that this gentrification that's happening in Glendale stops, because it's also happening everywhere else.
And I can't remember, would you like to say your name for us?
Oh, I thought I said, okay, my name is Ladan Yusuf, and I'm from Defend Glendale campaign. Right. And we're here to give you a petition of 1,000 resident signatures all over the city to stop the demolishing and the displacement of 600 people, 50% children that are working class and low income families in Glendale, because MPHA is being allowed to do it, and we understand that the city of Minneapolis has a huge role in this, so is HUD.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you for being here today. And the mic can pick you up. Even if you just stand where you are.
magacayga waxaa la yidhahdaa Siciid Cali, waxaan ahay dadka ku nool Glendale Townhouse.
My name is Saeed Ali. I'm the resident of Glendale Townhouse.
waxaan ahay Defend Glendale ayaan ka mid ahay dadka.
I am one of the Defend Glendale leaders.
maanta waxaan u nimay dadka halkan yimi waxay u yimaadeen cabashadooda iyo waxa dhibaatooyinka ay ka cabanayeen inay soo gaarsiiyaan sidii.
We came here to show and to let people know about the issues we're facing in Minneapolis, in Glendale, and about the complaints that we have.
sidaa u aragtaan waa dadkii Maraykan ahaa low income-ka dadkanu oo dawladduna ay siisay meelo ay ku noolaadaan oo u hawl yar si ay ugu noolaadaan.
As you see, Glendale is for the low income families, and it's for the low income families to live in, and so it can be easier for the low income families to stay.
waxyaabaha daruuriga oo qofku miskiinka u baahan yahay haddii aanu maaragtay gaadiidna haysan dhaqaale fiican haysan waxaa ka mid ah iskuulka, waxaa ka mid ah dhakhtarka, waxaa ka mid ah gaadiidka.
There are things that are easily accessible for low income families, such as transportation, such as doctors, such as schools that are easy accessible to get to in Glendale townhomes.
awood uma laha qofkaasu inuu meel ka fog degaanaado meelaha daryeelka laga helayo.
It's very difficult, and people cannot afford to live in faraway places where they have a place where they can have easy access to transportation, to schools, and to doctors.
sidaa darteed cabashadayada iyo dhibaatadayada waxaanu gaarsiinaynaa cid kasta oo na caawimi karta oo wax nooga qaban karta.
We are going to take our complaints and our issues to everybody, to the highest level, to make sure that we get what we need.
ugu dambayntii waxaanu ku haysanaa carruuro yaryar, dad jiran iyo dad waayeela oo haba yaraatee aan ka maarmayn meesha ay hadda degan yihiin.
We have the vulnerable, we have sick people, we have people with children that cannot afford to move anywhere else.
ilaa kumaan qof oo maxay too saxeexday maaragtay inaan la dubin guryahaas dhibaato la gaadhsiin, laakiin waxaanu anaku codsannay in naloo hagaajiyo guryaha oo nala sameeyo oo wixii ka xun la sameeyo.
We have 1,000 signatures here that say that we don't want demolition of Glendale, we don't want a demolishment of Glendale, and we're asking to fix and repair our homes.
dhibaatadii aanu ka cabanaynay oo kooban waa taas waan idin soo gaadhsiinay, waana mahadsantihiin.
We have now shown you the issues that we're complaining about, and we thank you. And then we're going to give you the petition so you guys can have it.
Okay. And you can hand any materials to the clerk, and she can pass them out to us. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Michelle And I also live in Glendale Townhomes. I am one of the leaders for Defend Glendale. And there's a lot of things that you guys do not know about MPHA. And one of them is the racism that they show towards the immigrant families. I have seen this, and Cam Gordon has also seen this when we were in a meeting, and it is very apparent. Anyways, they also play a lot of games. When we ask them for anything, they stall, they lie, and you guys don't see this, but, you know, they, oh, jeez, I'm just shaking. I'm going to go all over here.
That's fine.
But they, Mary Bowler always says, if you want something fixed, just call and put in a work order. Well, the Somalis, the Ormos, and the Hmongs, they put in a work order, and they never come to come and fix their stuff in their homes. There are people that do not get anything fixed. So these people just stop calling. And this is what they have been doing for the past 5 years. Even though they tell you, oh, yes, we are doing this, we are doing this. And everybody says, you know, oh, well, we can believe MPHA. But you don't live there, and you don't see what these people are living in. When we call to get rodents away from our house, do they come and get that problem gone? No, they don't. And they say they do, but they don't. That is why I'm here. Racism is so bad there, and I have seen it. And everybody in there, in Glendale and all over, because it's at other MPHA buildings, and they prey on the immigrant families and the weak, the disabled, and anybody else. Thank you very much.
And sir, before you begin, I was reminded by the clerk that for us, if you would like to make sure that we're able to properly record that you were here and addressed us, she has a sign-up sheet, and you can feel free, anyone who spoke, to go there and sign up, and then we can make sure you have a proper record that you were here and addressed us. Yes, sir.
Hello, good morning. My name is Abdul Fattah Samaru. I'm a resident of Glendale. I'm here with my dad, and I'm speaking on his behalf also. And having grown up in Glendale, having lived in Glendale for 11 years, one question I'd like to ask MPHA is, where was this Section 8 housing or this better housing that you have for us when my sisters, my dad, and I were living in a one-bedroom house for a year? And I'm here to say that we will not go, because this area and this neighborhood is good for us. As people, the speakers before me have said, this is a safe neighborhood for us, and displacing us will not only be doing a disservice to us, but to the city, as you will have homeless people, and there are people already on the waiting list. Give those people housing first, and then talk about displacing us, then maybe we won't mind going, but put those people in a house first, and then we will go, but we're not going anywhere. And my dad.
Would you like to introduce your father, and did he want to say anything?
His name is Soka Dechaso.
Baganaga walgenne.
Thank you for welcoming us here.
Anile Soka Dechaso jedhama qaki yebodarra kanan gaafanne akka amma qabattu barbaada.
And my name is Soka Dechaso.
Wanni nu asitti walgenneef erga jalqabame wanni kun ture.
This has been going on for a while, and the reason we're here is
no warra qabeenya hin qabne warra ammoo mootummaan nu qubsiise.
We are not of wealth. We have been resettled here by the government.
Eega qubannellee naannoon suni wanni nu amma haga asii geenneef as ga'uu dhiisi ganda keessattuu silaa nu haasa'uun barbaannu.
And this is not something that we would have brought to you. This is something that we wish we could have dealt with in our neighborhood with IMPHA.
Akkuma abba mucaan dubbate kana erga achitti galee ani mataan kiyya waggaa 11 achi keessa.
As my son has just said, I've lived here for 11 years.
Ijoolleen xixiqqoon tunillee kaarra isin waliin haasawu achumatti guddatee baratee jedhee.
And these kids, little kids that have spoken before you have grown up here, went to school here.
Gandi sun ganda nagaati.
This is a safe neighborhood.
Transportationaaf dhiyoodha.
And there's transportation.
Mana iskuulaatiif dhiyoodha.
The school, there's availability.
Iskuulii ta'ee, middle iskuulii ta'ee, yuunivarsiitii ta'ee naannoo san jira ilmaan keenya ba'anii galgala halkan turanii nagaan galanii.
Be it high school, middle school, or college. Well, my sister actually graduated from the University of Minnesota.
Miila ofiitiin deemanii baratanii itti galanii ganda nagaati.
It's safe to travel on foot if there's not even transportation.
Kanaaf urga gaafa jalqabameeti asiin hunkaasinaa jennaa warri public houseidhaa isin asii kaafna jedhanii nurratti huccuuccaa godhanii.
For this reason, they have been pushing us to move out as they deem that this place is profitable and we are not just a place on a monopoly game. We're not on a monopoly board. We are people, and we will stay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah. Come on, someone get up there.
Okay. All right. And then if we could maybe kind of start to wrap up to the last couple of speakers, then I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Arnold. I work with an organization called Inquilinos Unidos por Justicia. We work on housing in Minneapolis. And we're here to support Glendale because not only is there an attack on public housing, but all of our most affordable private housing in the city is going up in price every year by a lot. And we know that if folks get pushed out of this housing, they won't be able to get new housing and public housing because the waiting list is so long and private housing is so expensive that it really will affect these families.
Thank you.
My name is Cannon Apriori, student over at the university. I came in here actually interested in data practices, conversation going to happen afterwards. But with regarding gentrification, I'm a student in economics. And you're going to hear a lot of numbers about where investment needs to happen, so on and so forth. Tragically, in the mid-'80s, the Romer model came to light. And that's where he just said, you need to invest in human intelligence. The people and the resources of those who are from migrant communities or oppressed are an incredibly undervalued and underinvested resource for their intellect and culturally what they have to offer. Gentrification it's not erasing voices, it's erasing opportunities for all of us. And as we become a global village, we can't be conducting ourselves in this manner. It's not going to get us anywhere that we want to be, and it's not going to provide the community that our children need to learn how to communicate across cultures.
And the last couple speakers. Thank you.
My name's Loretta Van Pelt. I don't live in Glendale. I live in the Corcoran area. And I just want to say a couple things. First of all, in order to rent a 2-bedroom apartment in the city of Minneapolis, you have to make $27-something an hour. I'm sure the people who live in Glendale don't make that. And so they cannot afford to live anywhere else but in Glendale. Also, Betsy Hodges had this thing about one Minneapolis. Is this what she means, pushing out the poor people of Minneapolis? Because that's what I want to know. Because are the working class and low income people in the city good enough to clean your toilets and wipe your kids' noses, but they can't live in the city they work in? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Netsanet Negusi, and I am a housing organizer. I typically focus on project-based Section 8 properties throughout the state of Minnesota, and currently I'm organizing at Holmes Park in Ward 3. I just want to make a quick statement that the loss of public housing is a national epidemic. Their community members are doing their part to preserve their homes. There has to be accountability for public officials as well. This is a policy issue. Each year, funds are being decreased towards housing, and once again, this is your responsibility to ensure that people have access to housing, which is a basic human right. And I just want to say that I'm not only seeing this trend, I'll speak of a specific trend that I see in Minneapolis as far as eviction rates that landlords do to tenants. This is their way to just gentrify, but also to make profit, literally just by making people homeless. This is happening, what landlords are doing as far as public housing and project-based Section 8 properties as well. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
magacayga waxaa la dhahaa Sulaqa Jaamac waxaan deganahay xaafadda Glendale.
My name is Sulaqa Jama. I live in Glendale.
waxaan maanta meeshaan u imaan horta waa mahadsantiin marka hore dhammaantiin codsiga aan dhiibanay oo aad nagu qaabisheen.
We thank you all for listening to us and listening to our issues.
waxaan meeshaan u dhimaadnay dhibkana haysta oo ah oo dadka horeba ka soo hadleen inaan meesha ilmo yar ku haysano la rabana in guryaha xoogna la kaga saaro.
We are here to complain about the issues that you've already heard, and then we have little children, and that people are we being pushed out by force to move out.
ma rabna inaan ka guurno sababtoo ah dantayada baa ku jirta ilmahayagii baa meeshaan wax ka dhigta ilmo yarar baan haysanaa oo ilaa heer star ugu yar yahay iyo wax ka sii yaryaroo hadda xataa la sidaa ku jira.
We have young children that are in Head Start. We don't want to move out. We have even younger children that are Head Start age.
waxaan rabnaa in nala ka caawiyo dhibka ay nagu haya MBJA in nala ka qabto oo maaragta nala caawiyo.
We want support to make sure that people defend us from what MPHA is doing to us.
waxay leeyihiin Section 8 baan siinayna guryahana waan ka raadinaa dhulkana waa gadanaynaa.
They're saying that we're going to give you guys Section 8, we're going to move you out, and we're going to sell the land.
ma awoodna inaan meel fog tagno sababtoo ah ma wadana gaariyaal ma haysano gaadiid nagu filan.
We cannot move to somewhere far away because we don't have transportation.
waxaan nahay dad isku xiran oo is caawiya maadaama neighborkeena iyo dadkeena aan nahay.
We are a very close-knit community that support each other, that are close to each other, and that are neighborly to each other.
ma rabno inaan dad kala furfuran noqono cid kastaba ha noqoto kalar kastaba ha yeelato dadkeena meesha degan waxaan rabnaa dad isku xiran ha noqono meesha yadaasna neighbor ku wada noqono.
We from different communities and different ethnicities. We are all together and united, and if we're pushed out, we're going to be displaced and pushed away far from each other, and we support each other.
waxaan leenahay anaga dadka oon anaga meeshaan aan deganahay waxaan ku haysan waxaa dhacda hadda bubble housing inay samaynayaan inaysan xataa guryihii naga samayn oo markay meel naga jibto aysan naga hagaajin.
Public housing has gotten so bad that they don't even repair the homes now. They don't even want to fix the homes.
waxay isku dayayaan inaysan waxba fix garan ay gurigii dumiyaan intay naga saaraan.
They don't want to fix anything and then demolish so that people can move out.
waxaa jirta gabar neighborkayga ugu dhegan guriga ugu dhegan waxaa ku dhacday inay maaragtay intay stoofkii dhan ka damay 2 days u ka dansanaa wax ka sameeyana ay weyday maanta inay imaan lahayd waan jeclaan
my neighbor today she couldn't make it today. Her stove was not working for 2 days. And they didn't even fix her stove, even though she knew that she had children. Somehow, I don't know. She couldn't even she would have to come to me to even warm up her children's milk.
And
every day she calls them, and they don't come. So our meaning is that we want to get support so we can take care of this. We want a way to stay in our homes, to fix and repair our homes.
4 o'clock hadba saacadan fiiriyo inuu timeka uga dhaco meeshaas aan imaan waayo.
4 o'clock this morning.
hadba saacadan fiirinaya si aan uga qayb galo.
Because I wanted to come here since 4 o'clock this morning, and I wanted to make sure that I'm not late for this meeting.
Because waan ku faraxsanahay maanta inaan imaado waan rajeynayaa inaan wax nooga qaban doono.
And I'm very happy that I came here today, and I'm hoping that you guys will support us and help us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So
Glendale's here to stay. 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 Thank you so much.
I would just like to say one more thing. A lot of people have been moving out of Glendale, and they are not renting out the available units, which I am told by law that they have to rent out the units. And when they do rent out the units, they are telling the people that who are interested in renting that they should not be renting them out because they are going to be demolished within the next 5 years.
So I'm going to say thank you very much to everyone for
thank
being
you.
here. I'm going to close this part of the meeting. I do really want to thank everyone for taking their time to be here. I know that some council members have been working quite closely with residents from Glendale and MPHA, and I have myself had a meeting with some residents to express their concerns to me. So again, thank you. If anybody spoke, I would ask if you would sign up. At this moment, I've had several requests from council members that we recess today for to be able to view via live feed the announcement from Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman regarding his decisions regarding charging officers or not in the Jamar Clark case. And I'm looking around, so excuse me. And so I would like to go ahead and ask that we recess, and we will reconvene after that. Thank you. We are reconvening our meeting of the Committee of the Whole, and we do have a quorum to be able to continue our business. I will acknowledge that we took a recess to hear the announcement of Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman regarding his investigation. And so council members are still returning from that, and I know that Mr. Freeman is still conducting some questions and answers, so the information is very fresh. He has announced that his office will not be filing criminal charges against 2 Minneapolis police officers who were involved in last November's shooting death of Jamar Clark. At this moment, again, knowing that we are still taking in the information, I just want to express personally my prayers for Jamar Clark and his family, and also my prayers for our community. I know we have many people who have pain and anger, and my hope is that we are finding a space to go to for healing and justice and strength. And I know many will have comments in the aftermath of learning more about Mr. Freeman's decision. So with that, we have an agenda that has 3 items on it. I'm going to dispose of 2 of those items kind of more quickly. Item number 1 was a report on the city clerk's business plan, and I will move to postpone that to our next meeting of the Committee of the Whole. So with that, all in approval, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Then on item number 3, this was a short introduction of a proposed charter amendment regarding vote thresholds for issuance of municipal bonds. This has been forwarded to us from the Charter Commission. This Friday, we will start the process, which we are required to do under the charter, of formally introducing that, and then it will come back before us for a longer report. So I will just move to receive and file this report. All in approval, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item number 2 is our major item. I will announce for council members that we will not go beyond noon today. I know that many have other commitments, and so I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Carl to introduce the response that his staff and he have prepared regarding the 2015 records management audit.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Carl.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Thomas Jefferson, who was the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, said that information is the currency of democracy. And today, more than ever, we appreciate that records, books, maps, images, spreadsheets, and the millions of bits and bytes of data that are produced by government are, in fact, vital public assets. Government records preserve the rights and responsibilities of citizenship. They document the decisions and actions of government agencies. They enable the public to hold government accountable. And they chronicle our shared experiences as communities, states, and nations. Consequently, government records are one of the foundational pillars of democracy. They are, as Jefferson said, its primary currency. Last year, as part of its approved work plan, the Internal Audit Department evaluated the city's legal and policy compliance, administrative effectiveness, and the management of data collected, created, received, maintained, and disseminated across the enterprise. That audit and its findings were presented to the Audit Committee at its meeting on October 20th. This morning, the clerk's office is presenting its management response to the audit. A copy of the full response was posted to the city's website for public access, and copies were previously distributed to all council members. This slide gives you an overview of what we plan to discuss today. I'm going to go on to the next one. The 2015 audit that was presented said that the city lacked an effective framework to manage its information assets. A sampling of some of the key findings from that audit are being played on this slide. The internal audit team indicated that in the absence of this framework, the city is put in a position where it may not be able to accurately and effectively ensure security of private information, to validate compliance with applicable laws and regulations, or to respond to requests for documentation. All of this, of course, can expose the city to legal and regulatory risk. A copy of the audit is appended to the report before you as Exhibit 2. The clerk's office is in overall agreement with the auditor's assessment, and while the audit revealed a number of gaps and weaknesses, I believe that it can serve as a starting point for the development of solutions and a solid path forward. The management response does not provide a point-by-point reply to each of our audit findings. Instead, we've structured our response to match our proposed solutions. However, a summary of the audit findings matched to our corresponding management responses is provided in an abbreviated fashion as Exhibit 1. As part of its assessment, the audit team evaluated the city's performance against a set of objective standards promulgated by ARMA International, a leading worldwide association for information management professionals. These standards, referred to as the Generally Accepted Record-Keeping Principles, or GARP, are analogous to similar industry standards set forth in the Generally Accepted Accounting Principles for accounting professionals. This slide shows that the 8 GARP standards, accountability, transparency, integrity, protection, compliance, accessibility, retention, and disposition. Performance is measured on each standard using a 1 to 5 scale, where 1 indicates substandard performance and 5 would indicate what ARMA refers to as a transformative system. Agencies applying the GARP model should, at a minimum, achieve a rating of 3 for each of these standards, which would then denote that all of the essential elements of a record-keeping system comply with legal and other regulatory requirements. A full listing of these 8 objective criteria, the definitions and associated standards and metrics are part of Exhibit 11 in our report. This slide shows that when the auditor applied the GARP analysis to the city's existing policy framework and operations, the city failed to achieve the minimum level for expected compliance, which again would be a level 3. An organization that achieves a level 3 rating has information systems in place that satisfy the minimum legal, regulatory, and operational requirements and responsibilities. As you can see, the city scored 1s and 2s on the 8 GARP criteria for an average score of 1.65. That means the existing enterprise information management framework in Minneapolis fails to meet the minimum standards for legal, regulatory, and operational requirements and responsibilities. We scored lowest on the criteria tied to systems demonstrating integrity, protection, and compliance. As the city's responsible authority and custodian of its records, this is particularly concerning to me, and I know it is to you too, as the city's elected governing body. So I want to reiterate that this is a starting point for us, and we appreciate the results that the audit showed. I believe that our proposed action plans outlined in the report will help to take full advantage of these opportunities. But before I get to the specifics, I want to show one more element of the legal framework that needs to be considered, and that is the laws as they exist in Minnesota. I'm going to try and deviate a little bit in the interest of time. The three laws that most affect us in terms of our data and records management are, of course, the Official Records Act. The Official Records Act prescribes what records government must keep. The Records Management Statute, which regulates how government data and records must be managed, maintained, and disposed of, and the Government Data Practices Act, which regulates who may access the data and records and under what conditions. As part of that audit, the city's adherence to the requirements of these three primary laws was evaluated. Again, the audit found room for improvement, and our management response addresses those issues. In short, after evaluating the audit findings, the clerk has structured its response as well as its proposed action plans into an interrelated set of three buckets shown on this slide. First, responses and action plans related to governance issues. Second, responses and action plans that relate to enterprise operations. And third, responses and action plans that involve centralized support. Within each of these buckets, staff has identified a set of three actions that we believe provide an appropriate response to the audit and its findings. This three-tiered interdependent model aligns with the GARP criteria that I mentioned earlier. If the recommended action plans are implemented, the city will have a policy and an operational framework that will ensure its data and records are produced and managed in ways that enable the enterprise to operate effectively, comply with all legal and regulatory requirements, and serve the interests of the public. I'll address each of the buckets and the associated action plans. First, under the category of governance, staff recommends that the City Council enact an ordinance establishing an information governance policy. Perhaps the most critical audit finding was the lack of an adequate governance structure to ensure accountability. Key elements to be included in that policy are clearly defined roles and responsibilities, documented policies and procedures consistently followed, and an ongoing program of compliance monitoring. The clerk's office views this finding as foundational. All of the remaining conditions that are detailed in the audit were the result of not having an effective accountability framework. Other highly regarded programs from comparable jurisdictions are established by ordinance. For example, peer review revealed that equivalent programs in Austin, Denver, Milwaukee, and Seattle all find their basis in information governance ordinances or something equivalent. The Austin program is recognized nationally for being a model program. The Austin clerk indicates the enabling ordinance was the single most important factor in her program's success because it clearly expresses the policy intent and desired outcomes and also identifies executive responsibility for the program. Therefore, the first action plan we propose is the adoption of an information governance ordinance that would provide clear, enduring authority for the program, to identify enterprise roles and responsibilities, and to harmonize the existing system of policies and procedures. And as demonstrated in Austin, an ordinance would ensure a consistent, sustained focus over time on policy-level outcomes. We envision the ordinance establishing a clear line of accountability from the top of the organization chart down through all departments to the frontline delivery of services. To do this, staff recommends that policy oversight be tied directly to the City Council through an appropriate standing committee. Given the connections between information management, which deals with the rules side of the equation, and information technology, which deals with the tools, staff believes that the appropriate oversight body for this policy would be the Information Technology Policy Subcommittee. To reflect this broader scope of responsibility, we also recommend that the subcommittee be renamed the Information and Technology Policy Subcommittee, with oversight of enterprise initiatives related to information governance, data accessibility and security, technology systems, records management, and related matters. This direct tie to the Information and Technology Policy Subcommittee would elevate the visibility of a renewed and strengthened information governance program, and it would ensure that clear line of accountability that's needed across the entire enterprise. Once the core accountability and oversight framework is in place, the city can then implement an information governance program. Staff envisions that under that Information and Technology Policy Subcommittee, an Information Governance Committee would be responsible for ensuring implementation, undertaking regular reviews, and authorizing changes in existing operating policies or the adoption of new policies that reflect the policy intent of our ordinance. We recommend that this executive committee be composed of the city clerk, the city attorney, and the city coordinator. All three are charter department heads with a direct relationship to the city council and exercise enterprise accountabilities associated with information governance functions. In addition to general oversight of the information governance program, this committee would conduct periodic evaluations and, where appropriate, engage the internal auditor on more comprehensive program audits to verify compliance. We envision that under this staff committee's direction would be a work group tasked with actually doing the work of the program. This work group would include, for example, the Director of Records and Information Management, the city's records manager, the Chief Information Officer, the Chief Data Architect, the Director of IT Security, the Deputy City Attorney, and city attorneys that have expertise in related disciplines, as well as representatives from our Finance and Human Resource departments. This work group would shape, implement, monitor, and evaluate this program and bring important perspectives to the Executive Committee. To ensure a bright line of enterprise accountability, staff envisions at least annual reports back to the City Council through the Information and Technology Policy Subcommittee about the status of program implementation, accomplishments, and emerging trends and issues. The next major area we address relates to enterprise operations. Here again, we have a series of three primary recommendations. First, program implementation in a way that provides each department with a consistent but customizable solution that meets its operating needs and also complies with the ordinance. Second, a comprehensive review of existing information governance policies, procedures, and resources. As the audit indicated, most existing policies and procedures are more than 10 years old. They need to be updated. The audit also found that we have existing retention schedules that are outdated, complex, and difficult to apply. And finally, a centrally managed process for public data requests. Our recommendations in this area center on what we refer to as the 10-step program. Modeled on the approach that's used in Austin, we propose to develop a thorough implementation plan that will, in 10 steps, ensure that all departments achieve compliance with the information governance policy. Each step will include an introduction to a specific policy topic or area, provide the required training, tools, and resources to complete the assigned work, and end with a deliverable that can be provided to departments that they can apply and use to manage their information assets. The first step that each department will be required to take is to designate an IG liaison. We believe it's critical for this role to be assigned to a senior executive with decision-making authority in each department, preferably with a direct reporting relationship to the department head. This individual will be responsible for implementing each of the 10 steps of the program and for ensuring ongoing compliance under the policy. Having a senior executive in each department identified as the responsible party reinforces that clear line of accountability. The Information Management Division will support all department teams as they complete the 10-step program, providing the primary training, in-house consultation, and project management. In addition, the division will arrange for supplemental training through its partner organizations, such as the League of Minnesota Cities and the state's Information Policy and Analysis Division in the Department of Administration. The strength of this approach is that departments aren't left with a series of obligations without the support, resources, and tools that they require to be successful. The Information Management Division will also lead a review of all enterprise information governance policies. The goal here is to harmonize the existing patchwork of policies by updating those which are still applicable, eliminating those that are no longer needed and outdated, and developing new policies to address current and emerging issues. In addition to this general work, there are two very concrete outcomes that we'll pursue with respect to the operational framework under the policy. Number one, streamlining our retention schedules, and two, developing an enterprise-wide data map. Our retention schedules are critical in terms of our information governance program. State law mandates that all data be tied to an approved retention schedule, and it prohibits any destruction of data until that retention period has been satisfied. As noted in the audit, our existing retention schedules are overly complex. They are very detailed, and many of them are out of date. We propose transitioning to a big bucket retention plan that would use a smaller set of more generalized rules. We also are currently piloting this approach in our partnership with the Enterprise Land Management System team. We believe that this approach to retention will reduce complexity, simplify use by departments, and support technology-assisted retention in enterprise operating systems. Audit finding 2.1 found statutory non-compliance with the requirement that the city maintain an inventory identifying private and confidential data on individuals. Thus, I'm very pleased to report to this committee that since that report was presented, the Records and Information Management Division has produced the required data inventory in the format recommended by the Minnesota Department of Administration, which brings the city into compliance with the statute. However, as I mentioned, we think we can do more. So as part of the 10-step program and in conjunction with partners in the IT department, we propose to create a data map for all enterprise information assets. An enterprise data map will enable policymakers and departments to understand what data the city has, how it is produced, collected, and maintained, what access, retention, and security policies apply, and how to determine the most effective and cost-efficient means of managing the data. This effort is a necessary precursor to more tailored data access and breach policies that are described in Audit Finding 3. The third focus area we present is a series of recommendations related to centralized support through the Records and Information Management Division in the Clerk's Office. These recommendations get to the tactical level of ensuring that the Information Governance Program has the resources required for success, primarily through additional investments in the Clerk's Office. As noted, the audit found that the city lacked a centralized process for the fulfillment of public data requests. And while the Clerk's Office has added one full-time data practices coordinator in the past year, and it has made some difference, it is too much for one person to handle the 22 departments, 4,000 employees that are serving the largest municipality in the city. So we think that we need to look at our personnel systems. We also believe that centralizing the work in the Clerk's Office is a logical and practical course. The city clerk, of course, is the city's designated responsible authority and therefore has a statutory obligation to manage data requests. Secondly, centralizing this function enables the clerk's office to provide the enterprise and all departments with subject matter expertise, knowledge of the law, and resources to address operating needs in a consistent, coordinated manner. We propose to supplement our existing staff with additional positions, moving the Records and Information Management Division into a client-based model that matches what the City Attorney's Office as well as Finance and Human Resources departments do. In those cases, an attorney, an accountant, or an HR generalist provides subject matter support to several client departments. We believe that that model is appropriate for the Records and Information Management Division, in which a team of information specialists would be assigned to serve and support a cluster of assigned client departments. Staff will submit its requests for the additional personnel as part of the 2017 budget. In addition to personnel, though, the division also needs modern technology systems to support its work. Staff is requesting authorization to develop formal requests for proposals for 2 systems that would serve the entire enterprise. We are requesting to proceed with this work outside of the 2017 budget process because of the urgency in getting the systems, as well as the increased productivity that these systems would bring to us, offsetting the cost for the investment. The 2 systems we're requesting are a public data request portal and data redaction software. The division did pilot a data request management system in 2015, but that system was inadequate to the robust demands of this enterprise, primarily through our partnership with the MPD. Therefore, we propose to identify a solution that would meet our needs and provide a single source for the intake, processing, monitoring, review, and release of data in response to public requests. The second system we propose to acquire is redaction software that leverages tools found in e-discovery systems. It would enable us to streamline the review and redaction of data and documents. Staff has tested a software currently used by Hennepin County. That pilot showed that this system cut the time required to review and redact not public, private, and confidential data by more than half compared to our current procedures. We lack other systems too, including a physical assets tracking system, and we also are proposing to include in our Document Solutions Center in-house imaging systems, which would allow us to better serve departments in converting paper documents into images that could have metadata, retention schedules, security, and access procedures applied. The paper could be immediately disposed of, and those images could be retained through the IT networks. Adding that in-house imaging system would also allow us to cut down on the amount of storage that's required in the clerk's office for security measures, which was also noted into the audit. We plan on submitting those requests for systems in the 2017 budget process. So we believe that the strengthened centralized model that we're proposing offers many benefits to the enterprise. This slide shows some of those advantages. I think it would be just as easy and simpler to point out that the city has tried a decentralized model for more than a decade. And the audit findings are a clear indication that the decentralized model does not work. A centralized approach, as we've presented it, would allow the city to invest in a professional, trained, and experienced staff that could support the proposed information governance policy. It would ensure a consistent but customizable approach to enterprise operations, and it would add value by enhancing timely service to the public. This slide overlays the proposed framework that we already presented with the Revitalized Records and Information Management Division, overlapping and supporting the policy, oversight, operations, and centralized support functions. It provides a visual representation of all of the recommendations that staff has identified to address the audit findings, to lay out a policy framework for the future, and to outline the beginnings of a plan for program implementation. My final slides simply produce a summary of each of the major recommendations in each of the categories. These are the recommendations related to governance. And again, here, the centerpiece or foundational piece is an information governance audit, which provides the accountability framework. This slide provides summaries related to proposed actions on enterprise operations. Again, the centerpiece here is a proposed 10-step program that provides deliverables to each department in better managing their information assets. This slide provides a summary of the proposed plans we make with respect to centralized support through the clerk's office. That was a very quick summary through a very lengthy response to the audit. We appreciate the auditor for his work in bringing this to our attention and the support that he gave us throughout the process. We also appreciate the support from the departments that have had interaction with us and are welcome to stand for any questions the committee may have.
So thank you very much, Mr. Carl and Mr. Romelhoff and all who were involved in putting together this response. I want to say, first, I really appreciate that you have such a robust response to the audit, and I think it's a kind of exciting to see this process working maybe the way that we had envisioned, with audits being requested on certain topics at certain points in time, the audit giving advice, and then departments working to identify how to move that forward. I will say there's a lot in here, and I know the report you gave really, I would characterize as kind of high level. Clearly this is something that we'll need a lot of heads around the table to kind of dig around, and understanding that really we're trying to affect enterprise-wide systems. And I'll just say, you know, as in our system, sometimes we need to really be thoughtful about how we do that in the best way, just because of how the system within the city of Minneapolis works. And so I really appreciate your thoughtfulness in putting together these recommendations. And Councilmember Palmisano, I know, is in queue for some comments or questions, and we'll probably pretty soon turn to what might be some direction.
Thank you. I have just some very brief comments and then two questions that I would pose, and potentially our internal auditor might want to comment on them briefly, because I know we're trying to end soon. On reflection of all of this, and after several months, given my role as chair as audit is being involved in this work, I want to, and in consideration of the response that's been provided to this audit, I want to point out that all along through this entire audit, until the day it was presented to audit committee, this was considered the data governance audit, and I do believe that's what it's more accurately called. We're really all talking about records and data, and the clerk's description of information governance in some of these slides is the more complete, more accurate description of what we're focusing on, both in terms of the audit and its findings, as well as the totality of the proposed solutions that have been presented right now. I want to point out this is a big topic, and I'm excited about it because I think we're ready to take it on through my informal conversations with people through this process. There is a very weighty backdrop to this happening as we speak. I was thinking about that this morning as I was coming into work. While I know we are all taken by the information just released on from Mr. Freeman's office on the police-involved shooting investigation, this topic couldn't be more relevant. I really asked my colleagues for attention on this matter for two reasons. First, it took great courage to engage in this process by Mr. Carl and by the city clerk's office. They knew it wasn't necessarily going to be good. I don't think they realized, the scope of it. And secondly, because as we look to constantly make our city run better, audits and their findings and responses like this are the most responsible and thorough way to do that, to help our city run better. When this audit began, as audit chair, I was curious, but I mean, I'm not familiar with ARMA standards or information governments, and I don't think many of us are here. But my own calibration and my own sense of this is not from those industry standards, but more from periodicals, you know, Governing Magazine, things that benchmark us to other cities. And I knew we were behind. I knew we were behind what some of the innovation was happening in other cities. And what I really like about this response is it's not just more